Now that we've seen version 5.2 for Genshin Impact, it's time to break it down. Today we've got Chasca, the new 5-star Anemo bow user. Here are the current banners that are going to happen with 5.2, and here is the Ascension card. Unfortunately, you won't be able to fully prepare for her because she's going to require a new boss material. So first, her elemental skill, Spirit Rain's Shadow Hunt. Chasca and the will residing within her weapon resonate, dealing Night Soul aligned area of effect Anemo damage. After using this skill, Chasca gains 80 Night Soul points and enters Night Soul Blessing state. While she is in this state, she will continually consume Night Soul points. And when the Night Soul points are fully depleted, or the skill is used again, Chasca's Night Soul Blessing state will end. Her Night Soul Blessing state has the following effects. Chasca will mount her Soul Sniper, increasing Chasca's movement speed and interruption resistance. In this state, Chasca will continually consume Night Soul points to remain airborne. When sprinting or increasing height, extra Night Soul points will be consumed. When using normal or charged attacks, tap or hold to switch between using multi-target fire in different ways. The multi-target fire with a tap will deal Night Soul aligned Anemo damage to opponents in front. This damage scales off of normal attack. And the hold will enter aiming mode. You'll be able to choose a certain number of opponents within range before loading up to 6 Shadow Hunt shells based on the duration for which the skill was charged. When 6 shells have been loaded or charging is stopped, these shells will be fired at the chosen opponent in sequence. Now more detail on the Shadow Hunt shells themselves. The shells deal Night Soul aligned Anemo damage, which is considered charge attack damage. The 4th, 5th, and 6th shells loaded into the cylinder will undergo elemental conversion based on your elemental party. The shells loaded into the cylinder are fired starting from the last shell to be loaded, in a last in, first out order. Additionally, when Chasca is in Night Soul Blessing state, holding her elemental skill will cause her to execute a Night Soul aligned plunging attack. You can release the elemental skill to interrupt the plunging attack and go airborne again. Should Chasca hit the ground with her plunging attack, her Night Soul Blessing state will end. Now her ultimate ability, Soul Reaper's Fatal Round. Chasca concentrates her will, firing a single Gale-splitting Soul Seeker shell. This shell deals Night Soul aligned AoE Anemo damage. Afterwards, the shell will split into 6 Soul Seeker shells, which attack nearby opponents. The Soul Seeker shells deal Night Soul aligned Anemo damage, and the shells will go through elemental conversion depending on your elemental party. Moving on to her passive abilities. Meditation's True Meaning. 25 Phlogiston will be restored when your own party members defeat an opponent. This effect can trigger once every 12 seconds, and it has no effect in Domains or Spiral Abyss. Knight's Realm Gift, Ever-Burning Heart. After her Night Soul points are exhausted, Chasca will switch to consuming Phlogiston to maintain her Night Soul Blessing. While in an area with Phlogiston mechanics within Natland, you can use Night Soul Transmission. When the active character is in the air, the following will occur when switching to Chasca. You will enter Night Soul Blessing state and gain 32 Night Soul points. Night Soul Transmission can be triggered once every 10 seconds by your own team. Basically, you can swap to her in mid-air. Her next passive, Bullet Trick. When your elemental skill is being charged, if there are party members who meet the elemental conversion type requirements, you'll gain the following effects based on the number of different eligible elemental types present. There's a 33%, 66%, and 100% chance for each type to trigger Spirit Binding Conversion and cause the 3rd Shadow Hunt shell loaded into the cylinder to be randomly converted into a shining Shadow Hunt shell from one of the corresponding elemental types. Each elemental type will grant Chasca 1 stack of Spirit of the Radiant Shadow, increasing the damage of the shining Shadow Hunt shell by 15%, 35%, and 65% respectively. This effect lasts until the multi-target fire ends and has a maximum stack of 3. In short, if you have more bullets convert into different elemental types, you'll deal more damage. Her next passive, Intent to Cover. When a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst, Chasca will fire a burning Shadow Hunt shot at a nearby opponent, dealing Night Soul aligned Anemo damage equal to 150% of the Shadow Hunt shell damage from her elemental skill. If the party has Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, Electro characters, the burning Shadow Hunt shell will be converted to deal Night Soul aligned elemental damage of the corresponding elemental type, equal to 150% of the damage dealt by Spirit Rains. The damage done in this way is considered charge attack damage. Now let's move on to her constellations. Her C1. When triggering the passive talent Bullet's Trick, The second Shadowhunt shell loaded into the cylinder will be additionally converted into a shining Shadowhunt shell. The chance to trigger Spirit Binding conversion is increased. If there are party members who meet the elemental conversion type requirements, the chance to trigger is increased by 33% up to a maximum of 100%. In addition, Chasca's Night Soul point and phlogiston consumption in her Night Soul Blessing state is decreased by 30% while out of combat. For C2, when Chasca takes to the field, you'll obtain 1 stack of Spirit of the Radiant Shadow from the passive Bullet trick. In addition, when the shells from Multifire hit opponents, they will deal area of effect damage of the corresponding elemental type. These Shining Shadowhunt shells will be equal to 400% of Chasca's attack. This damage is considered charge attack damage, and the effect can be triggered once for each multi-target fire. For C3, increases her elemental skill by 3 levels. For C4, when the Radiant Soulseeker shells from her ultimate ability hit opponents, they will restore 1.5 elemental energy for Chasca and deal area of effect elemental damage of the corresponding elemental type of the Radiant Soulseeker shells equal to 400% of Chasca's attack. The damage is considered charge attack damage, and the aforementioned corresponding elemental area of effect damage can be triggered once each time you use your ultimate. Her C5 will increase her ult by 3 levels, and her C6, Chasca's multi-target fire charge time is decreased, and after the passive talent Bullet trick is triggered, Chasca will gain the Fatal Round state, wherein for the next 3 seconds, when Chasca uses multi-target fire, the shots will finish charging instantly, and the crit damage of the instance of multi-fire is increased by 120%. 1 Fatal Round's effect can be gained once every 3 seconds.